Most people with 2 million or more in IRAs are looking at a tax bomb coming for them. What to do is the most consequential tax planning decision of their lives. So the topic of Roth conversion comes up, and they absolutely have no idea which Roth conversion strategy is actually right for their situation. They've read the articles, they've watched the YouTube videos, they've talked to advisors who give them generic advice, really just treats every household the same, when in reality, the right strategy depends entirely on their specific situation. Through the years, working with folks in this exact situation, I've watched these strategies play out across a countless number of times, and I'm going to rank them based on what actually works. First strategy is the one most people default to, and it's the one that consistently produces the worst results. Do nothing, hope for the best. Now, sometimes that is, they actually know what's coming. They know this tax bomb is coming their way. They're just banking on something changing, like a tax law change that will bail them out of this. But unfortunately, a lot of times it's folks, they don't even know. They've never had a tax model built out. They don't know what their projected lifetime tax bill is, so they wouldn't even know how to fix it. As an example, if we know we have a $2 million lifetime tax bill through retirement, if we do nothing, but we could get that down to 1.4 million and we just make the right moves, such as picking the right Roth conversion strategy, that would empower people to make the decision. But most folks don't even know what that number is to even be empowered to make the decision. So we can agree that's probably not a good strategy, and that's why it's bottom of the list. Let's actually get into some good ones. And strategy number 4, even though it's still at the bottom of the list, I think it's a good strategy, which is convert up to the next bracket. A couple problems unfold here, though. Usually that means we're taking advantage of a 12% bracket today, and we're going to ratchet up to 22%. Problem is, almost always going 12 to 24% is actually going to do so much more good, but it also depends on, are they pre-65, post-65? And then unfortunately, a lot of the times we're finding folks, they're already in the 24% bracket. So we have to decide, is going to the 32% bracket going to make a lot of sense? And that's where it becomes mathematically challenging. And so I like this convert up to the next bracket approach, but it's oversimplified. Let's get into a more specific strategy, which is strategy number 3. That strategy really is applicable to over 65-year-olds, and that's to convert up to the next IRMAA tier, the next Medicare tier. Sometimes we can actually kill 2 birds with 1 stone, where we can layer the right tax bracket and the right Medicare premium bracket. And I'll show you an example of how we start to look at this. This is a tax bracket map that we've built out to show individuals, to show folks, there's a lot of moving parts. We have the ordinary income brackets, and we've been talking about, do we go from 12 to 22? Do we go from 24 to 32? That's what's in question. But then we have these different brackets around, well, what kind of Medicare premiums do we want to tolerate? Naturally, who wants to pay $480 a month? And so we can potentially take this approach, but it's still just really living in the land of oversimplification. So we've kind of gone through maybe the bottom 3 strategies, but let's get into the 2 good ones. We're really going into the zone of more personalized strategies. So one of my favorites is we call the multi-year aggressive conversion approach. We're going to bunch it up, do it really fast. Potentially over 3 or 4 years, we're going to hyper convert, and we're going to use a model, a tax model, to help us determine what the best mathematical solution is. And most of the time when we do that, we're going to figure out a version of this makes sense, but not always. This works really sweet when we're working with 65 or less, age 65 or less, and the personalized model is just going to help us determine that ideal sweet spot. Why does this aggressive bunching up approach work versus just spreading it out over time, which I think most people default, let's spread it out over time. The problem is spreading it over time lessens the benefits of compounding, and we start taking into the mathematical account compounding. Most of the time is going to tell us we should be taking an aggressive approach. We also want to work off certainty. So if we're in a good tax position today, let's lock that in, take advantage of that, instead of trying to hope that it's going to get better later and we could do more conversions later. I like this approach, but let's talk about this approach on steroids. Again, we start with a really good model. Let's talk about strategy number 1. the coordinated multi-year conversion. We're bunching it up, but we're going to put steroids on it, do something called asset location and charitable stacking. Now, asset location is cute for saying get the right dollars in the right accounts, which is different than asset allocation, which is, hey, I'm 60-40. I'm 60% stock, 40% bond. Unfortunately, what we often see is someone will say, I'm 60-40, and then they'll have that across all their accounts. That is an inefficient way to do it. We want the Roth to have their stocks. That is going to maximize compounding over 20, 30 years. I want the bonds to be in their IRAs. That's going to maximize the tax inefficiency of bonds. If I'm going to be trying to generate dividend income out of a portfolio and they have a taxable account, that's where we're going to hold all stocks that are paying qualified dividends, because now we can get our clients into 0 or maybe highest 15% tax rate, which is far less than what they have been paying. And so we're able to maximize compounding and just utilizing getting the right dollars in the right accounts. We're going to layer on top of this. This is where it gets really sweet. If they have any charitable intent, then we're going to, in these bunching aggressive years, we're going to hyper fund their donor advised fund to also carry them through their charitable goals till age 70 and a half. Now, at 70 and a half, the IRS allows us to take advantage of something called a QCD, Qualified Charitable Distribution. This is where we can actually give directly out of their IRA, never show it as taxable income, and we don't have to itemize. Most people in their 70s are not itemizing, so we're able to get full tax benefit of the standard deduction as well as the full tax benefit of our charitable giving. And so it's really a way to double dip. And so this is the steroids I'm talking about: charitable stacking, asset location on top of a bunched up, very aggressive conversion strategy. So you've seen all 5 strategies ranked, but let's bring it together so you can see exactly which one fits for your specific situation. So what's the best strategy? Well, it's really a trick question. There's only one right strategy, and it's the personalized one. It's one where a plan has been built around your specific situation. We have to get away from this cookie cutter approach that leaves so much meat on the bone. Let's build a personalized plan. That's why, going back to my tax bracket map here, there are so many brackets that we are looking over for a client to make sure we're not disrupting all the many moving parts. Roth conversions have been overly simplified by my industry. I think they can still be simple, but the only way they could be simple for you is if it's anchored to a personalized plan where the whole picture is being looked at. You've seen every Roth conversion strategy ranked, from do nothing, which consistently produces the worst results, to a coordinated multi-year approach with steroids given to it with these sweet strategies surrounding it, which produces typically the best results. So you can stop guessing which strategy might be right for you and start figuring out which one actually fits for your specific situation. If you want help building the right strategy, book a call with our team in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.